Support for 100 Watts in a Wire is provided by ICOM. The great outdoors are calling. Get outside and under the stars with one of ICOM's ultimate SDR transceivers. The real HF fun starts here. Check out the 705, your perfect QRP companion, or the 9700. This radio brings direct sampling to the UHF VHF world. Plus, the 7300, the radio that changed the way entry-level HF is designed. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on all ICOM radios.
From Grid Square, Echo Mike 48. This is 100 Watts and a Wire.
All right, there we go. Let's bring it in live here. All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to anybody who may be checking out the show today. Today we are going to be talking about, and the opening didn't want to fire for me, but I don't care. It's one of those days. I'm gonna tell it like it is. I got some friends here, and I think Steve is holding me hostage. It is a hostage contract situation. Steve makes six figures. That's why I have no money on the show, and he's holding out. He's holding out. Just a little inside joke. Trying to get him in here. He's having trouble with a browser or whatever. But to prove that it actually works, we're here, and we do believe that this is a contract hostage situation, and it'll be
browser. Sure, it is.
The browser won't let me do it.
For a guy who's supposed to be Mr. Technology.
I don't know why my mic won't work. I don't know. Okay, I see.
I think he's got a version of, what is it, Windows 1.0 he's running?
Yeah, he's calling on the rotary phone to get some support.
Windows for Work Group 3.11.
Oh, it's
yes, I'm an old IT nerd. You're welcome.
Love that shirt, by the way. And Paul and Karen will be here. We'll be doing two stories here, but just a proof of concept that the link does work in most browsers if you don't have the AOL dial-up. That's what I think he's using, Paul, is ping, pong, pong.
He had to load one of those floppies that came in magazines.
Yeah, I don't get it. This is so fun.
Yeah.
So Steve, W7UDI, will join us. I guess if we can iron out the kinks, but
when the negotiations are successful, I think
it's a hostage situation. I'm aware. I've been in broadcast radio for a long time. I understand. It's a non-compete issue. It's wacky. But hello to everybody. We're going to be talking about some antenna trends, and it's curious because I put the call out on our Facebook group to see what sort of trends maybe you're spotting. If not, what are you using? Maybe what you use is actually the trend here. So, and as I'm going through the week, I find like, all right, it seems that a few people have identified there could be a trend with NFEDs. And I'm thinking, well, maybe. And then I get this week on the air. And there's two, this isn't proof. This is just a note that in here twice they talk about, let's see, I bookmarked this. So the article is NFED half-wave basics. So some people have noted that NFEDs are becoming this sort of fad. I remember a few years ago when coaxial dipoles were really hot, and they were kind of branded as, I don't know, they were hot since MIT created them, and I love them. Still do. And but they were called double bazookas. Double bazookas, that's what we kind of call them. And I think that may be for marketing purposes. There's a second article in here of how to do this on your own. Build an NFED half-wave antenna. So I can't prove to you that this is some sort of trend happening here. But this is just one magazine that is current, and there's two actual articles about NFEDs. And as they roll through, some of the comments that we talked about or people were putting down below, we could see these. Before we get to your comments, let's just see how the negotiations are going with Steve. Here he is. Hi, Steve. It's just a little weird.
It is weird.
It's weird.
It is. Yeah, I don't.
No.
I'm not on my microphone and won't let me switch. It keeps going back to the camera.
Hold on, I'll transfer you over to. Oh, hey, that worked. Something happened.
Wait.
No, it went back. Something
No,
did happen
it got-
there. Let me
yeah,
transfer you over to our IT department. Stand by.
Stand by.
Hi, Paul. We've got a situation where a fella's got a issue with his browser and the microphone won't work. Is there anything that we can do here to help this fella out? Oh, let me unmute you. There we go. Go ahead, Paul.
First off, he's got to open up a ticket through the help desk
Okay.
because we don't do anything that's not documented.
I thought this was an urgent matter. Let me see if I can transfer you over to the call and see what's happening here. Sorry, wrong department. We'll go back over here, sir. Can you tell us what's our problem here?
Me.
He's on. You're not even muted. You're not even muted. Like I don't even have you muted, and you're muted. What a debacle! This is something
Just
interesting.
make
So,
sure your default Windows sound is set to that interface with the mic.
isn't this fun?
This is an apple.
This is great.
Oh, well, check your system sounds. Make sure that your mic didn't default to the.
I even rebooted the apple.
See,
so,
he's
I mean,
not
it's
even
just-
in time. We got a problem with
Well, he's
the
way out of
lips.
sync.
Yeah, you're way out of sync too. Holy cow! This is what I
he's-
call contract hostage situation.
Yeah, everything is actually fine. He's just pretending that it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anybody do me like this. They're like, okay, my attorney missed a call. I don't know what's happening. I don't do business on Saturday mornings. And here
You know,
he is.
I'm pretty sure, and I thought I would never ever say this in public, but I think Don Wilbanks is available.
Don Wilbanks may be coming on to co-host the show here. If I can give him a link, I can get him a link. You guys having enough patience for that? Don, you available? Put in the chat. Are you available? You want to come up? I know we talked just last night to Don, and I think I can do it. Anyway, so we put out the call to see what you're using and what sort of antennas you're looking at, what you're using and what you're looking at for your next one, and if you've identified any trends. And I've noticed that NFED antennas seem to be, and when I got into this, I would always hear how NFEDs are not, they're not this, they're not that, they're waka waka waka. And as I talk to you, I'm going to find Don and send him a message. There he is. Now, if this works, Don is on a retainer, and he makes way too much money. But if he does show up, we'll bring him in. But right now, let's go to some of your messages that you did on the Facebook page, and we'll go. Rich has inverted V always, some double bazooka. Again, that's technically a coaxial dipole, and I think the marketing changed for that antenna, which is a great antenna. MIT designed this. I love it. It's quiet and really does a great job there. So we may be identifying trends just by scrolling through to see what you're using. A tribander there from Mark. Philip, he's going to add a 40 and an 80 meter fan dipole, and so an 80 NVIS. A lot of comments. We had some good conversation on Twitter. I don't know. It was a little bit of one of those matches where it's like a little jabby. Some people still don't feel that an NFED is a proper or a subpar, I think, was used in Twitter, and I didn't get involved in this. I have an NFED that I use for portable. It's in my bag, but I tend to lean toward a link dipole in the field. Some others there, and Don, I sent you a message on Facebook if you want to jump in here. And he knows Steve, and can tell me what we're dealing with here. These are sticky contract negotiations. As Steve continues to work, this is all just a joke. But he is having some technical issues. Billy says he ran a homemade for years, performed very well, inverted V. I myself like inverted V dipoles, coaxial dipoles is what I use here. Let's see what Ed's talking about here. All right, now we're gonna get it. I mean, you can only have so much. Live is just a wonderful. Let me go ahead and bring my brother in here and see if we can bring in any sort of.
Billy says he made for
Turn down your YouTubes there for me, brother, and we'll bring you right on live. All right. I want to turn him down. I got you. Don, you hear me? He's here. Now he has technical issues. That's okay. Don, just turn off your YouTube, and I'll bring you right up. All right. What a wacky thing we got going on here. Anyway, let's continue on and talk a little bit more. Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready, Don. We'll bring you up. Some others. Plan to add a 10-meter full wave triangle. All these, because it's so wacky in here right now this morning, are listed on the Facebook group as we get a little bit closer to the 2 stories times coming up, and we'll pick it up on the other side of that as well. But if you want to see all these, you can see them on our social media outlets. The Facebook group, very active, and our Twitter page at K0STH. Here's Dave. He mentions in EdFed, you'll see EF half wave, right? Huge trend. But maybe finding them noisy and fraught with common mode. So you've got your people who really love that antenna and others who do not. All right? Or don't see it as a above par antenna. Here's Brian. I'm tired of hearing about NFEDs, honestly. So you see that maybe it is. I don't know if it's a marketing thing or if it's portable is the big push at the moment. So that's kind of where I am with it. I think that because of portable operations, NFEDs or they're just becoming highlighted. I don't know. They work. They work, though. That's the thing. We could have that conversation. Do they work? Let's see. Ian, net control operator. He's going to work on a 160. Look at that. That's cool. Kent, 80-meter loop. Let's see what we can put together by what people are saying here. The NFED thing is not, this isn't to bash NFEDs. I just found a pattern and some dissension in that antenna through this thread. And the one on Twitter mostly. Okay, low noise, better performance than a dipole. Okay, it's hard to beat a dipole. I got to tell you, it's hard to beat a dipole. Love them. All right. Don, you in the chair over there? We're going to have a correspondent and talk to Don because I don't know how to handle these complicated situations. Don, can you tell me why it is? I mean, I know that some people reach that rock star status in the ham radio world, and I don't believe that there are any real ham radio celebrities. What's going on here with
Probably
Uncle
not.
Steve? Uncle Steve is saying that the browser is an issue. He's having a problem with his microphone. Does this sound like a common negotiating ploy?
Well, first off, let's check my connectivity. Are you hearing and seeing me okay? Because I want to make sure that my semi-expert analysis goes over the stream, and so perhaps we can help our boy Steve. So is everything okay on my connection here?
Well, stand by. Let's transfer you to our IT department, and Paul Brown
No, he's
is
no
here.
help.
Paul, what? Oh dear.
Actually, Don, it sounds like you're on your camera mic, not on your PR40.
You
Well,
may.
you know, that could very well be. I don't know. Everything is so. You know what? I don't care because I can't hear myself coming back, so I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Now, that's
Anyway,
good.
here's
That's
the-
best.
Here's the problem with Steve. First off, the first question in this is: have you met Steve?
Yes, I have met him in person actually too. Yeah,
Well,
in
that tells you
person.
all you need to know, doesn't it?
Well, this is what leads me toward contract negotiation. It was interesting because I know you have these broadcast things that I have too. You've got a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Something's running down. You need to connect with somebody remotely. Down to 30 seconds. Oops, there he is. And then he's like, oh, the mic. I don't know. And then, hey, we're live. We're live. So I instantly go to contract status issues. Your thoughts? Uh-oh. When we lost your audio there. Not a problem. Just hang in there. You'll click that button. You'll click that button. Let me,
You know what? It's all because we didn't get breakfast, Christian.
I think this is what it is. The first sign of trouble was Paul was in first. Paul was in first and early, actually right on time. He was right on time. And let's see, we got Will Banks coming in. This is the beauty of what I think live should be. This is what live should be. Okay, sir, you were saying?
how's the audio now?
There you
There you go.
That's the Dom we know and love.
This cockamamie system you use, you got to actually disconnect and come back. So
Cockamamie, that is low budget terms
changed,
for I'm a rock star, actually, and I require much more than you can give me. I know you too. I've met you too, sir. So I know you. Yeah, your thoughts. How are you? It's good to see you here. We had planned to bring you in next week, but we got some time today because of some technical issues happening in the great state of Washington. And
my semi-professional, totally amateur take on Steve's problem seriously is browser history.
Oh, so you're saying he may have been looking at things that were slightly...
I'm not saying.
I mean, let me get a professional look at this.
I'm just
There's a
saying.
professional. No quote, but this nod gives you a real sense of, yep. Would you agree with that, Paul? There's possibly some search history. Okay, no quote there from Paul either. But yeah, this is great. And this is fun. This is the Amateur Radio Newsline family. And Don and I were just talking last night. We try to get you on anyway, and we might as well do that. We got some time before we do the two stories, and we can talk about, I might as well get your opinion on this here. Are you seeing any trends in antennas? And you've been doing this for a while here too. And I was talking about the coaxial dipole kind of being slightly renamed as a double bazooka, and I fell for it for sure, but I love them and they work. Some of the people in the thread feel that NFEDs are getting some love right now, and I think maybe that's a portable deal, and then there's like, no, that's not a good type of thing. What do you think in terms of kind of waves of marketing and antenna trends?
Well, I went to a Hamfest in January of 2020. Was the last Hamfest I went to here locally, and they had, God, I've got a weird shadow going here. There we go. This is why I got my lights on here.
It's okay.
And that's
Don't
about
worry.
to fall over. So they had a little kit building deal where you could build the Balun for an NFED half-wave 80-meter antenna, and that's what they did. And so it was a whole kit. It was like $20, which is well worth it. It was probably the exact same plans that you showed in that magazine, which I'm not familiar with that magazine. I like the looks of that. I may have to get some information.
It's the League
on the
one.
air.
Yeah, it's from
is
the
it?
League, and and it's
Okay.
and it's for like a beginner. I think it's sort of, that's why I got it.
Oh, I don't get that one. So that's cool. I'm gonna have to check that out. But I think that the NFED halfway, and by the way, for $20, they walk you through the whole build of the kit and the winding of the Balun and and the whole thing. And plus, they gave you like the whatever, I forget exactly the length of wire that you needed to string it up. All you had to do was take it home and throw it in a tree and do it. And I ended up actually giving it to Skeeter Nash, N5ASH. He was without an antenna, and I said, well, I have this. It's extra. I built it just for the heck of it, and so I sent it up to him. So hopefully he'll be on the air with it soon. I think the NFED half-wave I've noticed has, I call it the latest prepper darling antenna. It's like all these people who are into prepping because it's the same people who made, I think, Baofengs famous, and not saying anything good or bad about Baofengs, but you hear a whole lot about Baofengs in the prepper community because it's a cheap radio and it goes everywhere and it's essentially disposable, and it's one of those things that if you got to have a radio, you grab that and you go and not worry about it. Kind of the same thing with the NFED half-wave. It's easy to build, it's cheap, and it's very, very portable, and so that seems to be the antenna of choice for the prepper community, as I've been seeing. I don't do a whole lot of research on this. I just kind of read what I see and try to take in as much information as I can. But that seems to be the whole popularity with the latest prepper darling antenna being the NFED half-wave, and it's a good antenna.
Yeah, I was looking for, to see if anybody, it wasn't overwhelming, but the negativity of the NFED kind of bubbled up, and I was like, oh, so maybe there is. And this magazine, which is put out by the League, and it's aimed for beginners, called On the Air, and it's very good. It's good to kind of go back to your roots and brush up on some things, and they talk about propagation. But there's two articles, the two articles. One you can teaches you how to make, and the other one that I found in the same magazine. So, It's just maybe it's a trend with all this portable love that's going on, and I think that's okay. Have you seen other trends like this in your time where it was sort of like, oh, I gotta have that one, gotta do this, or I gotta have a vertical or Yagi?
I don't know. I kind of sense that with DMR seemed to be again a kind of a trend, and I haven't completely entirely embraced the whole DMR thing. I'm more of a D-Star and a System Fusion guy. I think just for me, I don't know, maybe it's my little bitty pea-sized brain, but it seems like the whole DMR thing is kind of difficult, at least for me to wrap my whole head around. But that's, I don't know. I see that as a trend. I see Baofeng and Chinese radios as a trend. And I think it's just because it's the latest thing to come along, and it's new and it's fairly inexpensive, and so it's been embraced wholeheartedly. I mean, I'm not saying anything good or bad about any of this, but that's just kind of. And I really don't pay a whole lot of attention to that stuff. I'm kind of off in my own little world, and I don't get to do near as much ham radio stuff as I want to, just time wise.
Yeah, and you know Don. Don is Amateur Radio Newsline. And does his bit on Ham Nation, takes Amateur Radio Newsline to Ham Nation. We do Amateur Radio Newsline here on 100 Watts and a Wire as well. And I'd love to have you come back next week to just talk, because people ask for you. You like, what do you they want to hear from you. I don't know why. I don't think you know why. Because what's going to happen is when us two get together, we're going to talk about cars. We're going to talk about blues music and guitars. And radio and broadcasting. So I don't know why you'd want to hear that from us, but that's what we do. But we actually have a purpose, and I want to give you some time to talk about it here, the Young Ham of the Year Award, and maybe you can set that up and tell us how that came to be and how you can nominate someone for this year's Young Ham of the Year Award.
Mm-hmm. Do that now or do that next week?
Yeah, do it now. We're here now. Let's do it. I mean, you and I'll talk cars. Cool. Surfboards, blues, Excellent. And all the rest.
Well, the quick Cliff Notes version of this is that back in the 80s, Bill Pasternak, WA6ITF, came upon an idea for an award to honor youth in amateur radio, and that was the Young Ham of the Year Award. And his whole thing was find the best and the brightest who's doing something really cool with amateur radio to either extend the state of the art or do something cool for the community, the country, the world, whatever. And so since the 80s, we've been doing that every year. And it's amazing the young people that we have discovered through their other hams nominating them. And that nominating period for 2021 is rapidly coming to a close. We open nominations from March through May. So 3 months is the nomination period, and it ends May 31st at midnight Eastern time. You've got to get the nomination form completed and into our email box by midnight on May 31st. So just a little more than a week away. And you can find that form at arnewsline.org under the awards tab. So if you know of a deserving young radio amateur, age 18 or below, living in the U.S., any of the possessions, or Canada, we want to know about them. We want to know about them in detail. And the bar is set pretty high. Just because you have a 7-year-old extra doesn't mean that we're going to bring them to Huntsville, Alabama in 3 months and bring them on stage and give them a radio just for the fact that they're a 7-year-old extra. It's not very cool being a 7-year-old extra, but we want to know what they're doing with that license, not the fact that they have one.
Because do you look for advancing the technology?
Right. Getting your license is the first step. That's when the real education starts, and that's when the cool stuff begins. Just like a driver's license. You know, you're 16, 15 and a half in my case in Oklahoma, you get your learner's permit, all of a sudden you're driving on the road. That doesn't make you a driver.
Right.
You know, it's the experience and the things that you do with that we really want to know about. And so, get it into us, and we would love to have your deserving young radio amateur on stage in 3 months at the Huntsville, Alabama Hamfest, which is a great hamfest, by the way. Hamfest.org is the website for that hamfest. It's easily one of the top 5 hamfests in the country. I love Dayton. I love Xenia. but for me, Huntsville is number one. I've only missed one Huntsville Hamfest since, actually two now, well, with last year, since 1995. And the one year that I did miss prior to last year was the year that, for some reason or another, we did not present a Young Ham of the Year award that year. So Huntsville is near and dear to my heart. They're good to us, and we love being up there. It's been the home of the Young Ham of the Year award since 1993. So again, just to wrap it up, arnewsline.org, under the awards tab, you'll see the 2021 Young Ham of the Year downloadable form. You fill that out and email it back to us. Email submissions only. Our email address is right there on the form, newsline@arnewsline.org. And don't wait till the last minute. Everyone waits till the last minute, it seems like, and we get a flood of nominations in the last few days. But
And you want to give a
as
good
early as you
consideration
can.
to each candidate.
Yeah.
You know, you want to give proper time.
Right.
So, and everybody seems to know at
Right.
least one or two young ladies or men who are like, wow, they're on another level, whether they're in their club, your
Right.
club, or if there's somebody you just met. And that's what he's talking about. Those are the people.
Yeah.
And we want to see what they're doing. What are you doing? And how are you advancing this? How are you using it? It's really good. And it's not just a guy thing, right? Ladies.
No, we've had we've had
Exactly.
several YL winners, and I say it every year up on stage. And every year it becomes more and more true. If you watch the news and you see a bunch of bad news about bad kids out there, those kids are the minority. The majority is there are many times more great kids and brilliant kids than there are the bad ones that get all the press.
Right.
You know, and every year it seems like the bar is set higher and higher and higher. And I say it every year. It's like, you know what? These are the kids that are going to be handling the world when we're gone. And everything's going to be just fine.
Yeah, for sure. Don, you're one of my favorite people, man, and we have not had, just to give you a little bit of insight, Don and I will secretly meet up sometimes on 160, and the conversation is, of course, the family, which he's got a beautiful family and a growing son I know he's very proud of, and then it moves to cars and radio and broadcasting and blues music. So that's, if you'd find us on the air, which we need to get back to doing. Time slips away like Willie teaches us.
I want to get back on the nets on Sunday night. I haven't done that in a long time.
Come on, if you're ready and up.
It's like anything else. It's time and money. You have one, you don't have the other.
Well, we got no money because Steve, the hostage holder, is.
I know.
It's so hard. He's coming for it all.
and-
But yeah, you know what? All you got to do, drop me a line.
Browser history.
Browser issue.
Yeah.
That's
And,
what it is. We got to chime in here. Let me make sure you're not
Yeah.
muted.
And
Yeah.
as far as my money, 10% of everything I get from this goes to Will Banks because he set himself up as my agent.
Yeah,
I see a problem. I see a problem with Paul's feed. It seems he's not muted.
Karen has to. She wants
I've
to.
got to chime in. I've got to chime in and just say, as someone who spent more years in daily journalism than I'm willing to admit, follow the money is something we always used to say on a story. The problem with Steve is the six figures, but Christian, I think the six figures are on the wrong side of the decimal point.
I think there's six
the
figures of
problem.
dead mannequins and weird, strange things found in his browser. Like that's it. It is figures that are somewhere in the yard. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to put any rumors out there, but Steve's needs to be looked into a little closer.
You know, I
manage
kid
it.
Paul incessantly, and the truth is, really, I've never liked him. I don't think anyone has. You have no friends, Paul. And if you ever,
No,
if you
I
ever see the
understand
whole Newsline crew together, typically Karen has to sit between me and Paul.
Oh, it's rough. It is.
You think
rough.
that's pleasant? You think that's pleasant? I get combat pay for that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And I
Oh
do got
my
to say,
God.
if you
That's why
if you
I'm.
come to,
Yeah, and that's why I
say
am
if
the
you-
way
if
I
you come to
am. I
Hunt-
have to sit between them.
if you come to Huntsville
interrupt
this
her,
year,
Paul.
though, you will get the opportunity to meet both me and Will Banks, and I know how much of a thrill it is to meet me, and I'll be available to sign autographs as well.
You were
Okay,
right,
I'll
Don.
stand in line for that.
I got to get rid of him. If you know anybody else
Clear
who could do
mistake.
this with Karen, It would probably be best. Oh, it's gone off the rails today, but you know
monkey?
what? It is so
Gotta
fun.
be
Yeah,
a
I
trained
mean,
monkey available.
anybody who
We're
can just.
losing today.
You guys are some of my favorite people. I appreciate you stepping in. I know you have things to do, and we went a little long. They'll be looking. Paul looks at his watch. He's a straight up.
I know.
He's like,
Well, he's still trying to learn how to tell time on an analog.
is that what it is? I saw big numbers.
Too many hands. Yeah.
He says,
Mickey
"Count,
Mouse.
counts my
Flips them off.
steps."
Mickey's
Mickey's-
hands are in a certain place at 6:30.
Yeah.
Poor Paul.
Mickey's flipping him off. That's the problem.
Poor Paul. He's one of the nicest dudes you'd ever meet. But oh man, I don't know how you take it. I don't know how you take it like this so much.
I
But,
just generally ignore him.
okay. All right, that works.
I just let it go right over the top.
That's something. That's something.
There's not
I
much
get
up
that.
here to stop it, so yeah.
I get
Christian,
that at
I have
home.
to write. I have to write
Yeah.
for these people. I have to write
These
for these
people. I think you're headed to HR now. This is these
I
people
have
is
to
not
write
appropriate. Don, you available for comment? These people, you got a claim here.
No, because I like Karen. So,
She gets a pass.
she's a bit of a squirrel, but I like Karen. Yeah.
She gets a pass.
Ah.
My thanks
And
to
I got to say though that the current Newsline staff, both of those guys stepped in after Bill passed away, and the staff that we have now is largely new in the last 5 or 6 years since Bill passed, and